Welcome to the Midnight Writers Podcast, helping authors become better writers.
Episode 11, The Importance of Beta Readers. This is John.
This is Lena.
This is Amy.
I'm Amity.
And we, like I said, we have again with this special guest, Amity Green. And we thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
So why is it important to have beta readers?
Wow, you got to bounce your stuff off of somebody who's going to be honest and not just be all, fangirling about your stuff. It's very important to get honest feedback before you try to sell something. I don't self-publish, and so, I really value opinion, a good, honest opinion first. And I used to send out a whole novel or a whole piece, and I have recently had a discussion with another author, and sending out chapter by chapter apparently is a really great way to go. So I might try that next time instead of just like, bang, here, have a whole novel. It's a lot.
Yeah.
How long are your typical novels?
Around 90,000. My first novel was like 130,000, which, oh my gosh, that's huge for urban fantasy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I whacked it down to, it's at 93 now, which is still, a little long, but typically that's what I aim for.
How many beta readers do you have?
The last time I sent it out to 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, not everyone has time to read a whole entire book and get it back to you when you need it. They're doing me a huge favor anyway. It's nothing, that I would ever be pushy about. I think that was a big number. I got 6 back, I think, and it was excellent stuff, very valuable, and it's a treasure, to have somebody read my work and give me honest feedback. So I don't know, next time I'll probably send it out to 5, just to be more manageable about it.
Yeah, I found that with my most recent short story that I just wrote was flash fiction. It was only about 1,000 words, but I sent it to Ben, who gave long, detailed thing, which actually was really good, because there were things that I originally put in there that, in order to reduce the words, I cut out. And I'm like, it's not needed. And he brought those exact same things up. Why is this happening? It's like, oh, maybe that explanation was in there. So it really pointed out the things that that I knew I have in the story because I knew they were there, but the reader wouldn't necessarily.
All right.
So
I have a beta reader, Beth, who is really good at asking the why questions. So she'll send me something back with why? Why this? Why is that happening? Why? So it is helpful because it makes you think, okay, well, yeah, that explanation needs to be there. And sometimes she'll get further along the story. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
oh, cool. So how do you find beta readers?
Ooh, Facebook.
Social
media for sure, definitely. And then I also send it out, to a couple really close friends. But again, I think that some of that isn't really the most objective feedback, just because I couldn't send it like to a parent, and expect to get really good objective stuff just because they're just,
yep.
So it's like a proud mommy moment or something like that. So yeah, it's, Facebook for sure. And, Twitter is good too. I've never actually asked for any off of my website, I don't think. So yeah, definitely social media.
What about you, Amy?
Mostly social media. I've got a team of beta readers that are about 10, and what I do is we have a group on Facebook, and I say, hey, I've got this story coming up. These are the deadlines I'm looking at. Who is able to beta read for me?
Wow.
I've gathered them from different places. They're people that I know that can and will give me detailed feedback. A couple of them have gone, because I do indie publish, had read like my first couple books, which I didn't have very many betas on because I was new. And they gave me feedback on that, and I knew they'd be good beta readers in the future because they'd catch some of that stuff. I've also done it as a contest before at a release party, where it's, enter the contest and you get a chance to be a beta reader for this project. And if I like the feedback, not as, oh, you're fangirly, but if I like the detailed feedback they give, then I'll invite them onto the team to do further feedback.
I've posted in groups before too, and that worked out really well. Especially like if you need it a little faster, and you don't have a lot of time.
And I've got one of the girls who does my proofing now before I put it out. She's on my beta team as well. So I met her at the Indie Romance Convention in Tennessee, and we then connected online. And she started out editing my newsletter, and then offered to be a beta reader, and then I hired her on for doing proof reading.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you give a beta reader? So, you finish a project, I need somebody to read it, but I also have a deadline. How do you figure out the timing to make sure you get it back in time that you can actually fix it?
Well, the obvious answer there would be to go ahead and send it out ASAP if I end up with some sort of a deadline when a press wants something. But just if I don't have a huge deadline or something like that, then I can give them, a month with a novel or whatever. Some of them will get back and they'll be like, hey, things got crazy here. I'm only halfway done, and give me, half of their feedback or whatever. But a month, I think, is pretty good. That's actually a really long time for one book. But then again, it depends on the person, and their home life and how fast of a reader they are. Some of them gobble it up in 3 days and bang, it's back, in my inbox. So it just depends.
Well, beta reading is also harder than just normally sitting down and reading a book, because then you have to have a whole different thought process to actually think things through, have a way to take notes.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
You can't just sit there and on the fly, like while online or something, pull up Kindle and read it.
Right. Right.
Okay, so I've heard some authors have alpha readers and then beta readers. What would be the difference, and do you use more than one beta session type thing?
I don't really use alpha readers because nobody gets to see my work till after I comb through it. So I guess in that aspect I am the alpha reader. Depending on the project, depends on if it goes through more than one beta read. Just a Little Death went through 2 beta reads because it had a lot of bigger problems that need to be fixed, and I wanted to make sure that I got those problems fixed before I passed it on to my editor. So that one had 2 beta reads to it.
I've never used alpha readers. I probably will never, just because my rough drafts are my own. I would never send my rough draft to anyone.
They're scary.
No way. I have found some serious big honking things in my rough drafts, so I probably would never do that. One thing I do have going for me is I am a member of a really great critique group locally, and they have seen some of my rough stuff. So, I guess I can't say that I would never show a rough draft to anyone, but maybe if I've only read through something once and then I'll send in a submission, they've seen it when it's definitely far from, ready to send off. So no alpha, betas, yeah. I've sent off, I have a completed novel called The Witcher Chime, and it's a horror story, and I've sent that to beta readers twice now. And I'm probably still going to pull another revision on it to get it exactly where I want it. There's one place in the novel where I'm just not happy. So, yeah, it'll probably go back out maybe even a third time.
Yeah, I was listening to a Writing Excuses podcast with Brandon Sanderson, and they were saying that, at least in his opinion, the alpha reader would be somebody who is an author, who can help with some of the more story ideas. And then your beta readers should not be authors. They should be just readers. So they could tell you from a reader's perspective how a story's shaping up and stuff. I think it sounds good in theory, but not all of us have that many people that would be willing to read stories for us. So.
I have had another author who is way far along in his career read a story for me, and when you send it off to somebody like that, it's so nerve-wracking just because, oh my gosh, he has the career that I would love to have when I grow up. So when he sent it back, he was exactly the way I thought I would get it back, He was ruthless. He loved the story, so that was how he opened up. Thank gosh for that, because then, when you get that feedback from somebody who's just just an amazing author, it kind of hurts. It's like, ouch, but yay, thank you for saying that. So, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, if that's what you mean by an alpha reader, then yes, I have done that. But I haven't sent off anything really, really rough to somebody that I would rather send off, as like a beta reading situation. I haven't done that.
So, what kinds of things are you trying to get out of beta readers? When you send it off, what are you looking to get back?
My major thing, I'm not looking for editing. I'm not looking for typos. I'm not looking for, hey, a word swap like their and their thing. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, does it work thematically? Does the story work? Are there any gaping plot holes? Have I sent them off driving a truck and they come back in a VW bug? Have I made any major glaring, things like that? Because I firmly believe there's no way to self-edit myself. I can't do it. I have read over books, 8, 9, 10 times and put them in a drawer, take them out 6 months later, and there's a huge mistake right there. It could be just a typo. And I'm like, how did this escape me? So I don't know. I mean, it just takes a long time to get that done.
I agree. I look for consistency in plot and story and characters. Descriptions, eye color tends to change a lot for me. But I do have betas who don't really pay attention to what I ask for. Like, they'll give me that, but then they also go for the little things. And the way I look at it is, if they want to spend their time on that, okay, as long as they're giving me the other feedback. But I'd feel really bad, like, Just a Little Death had several scenes that had to be rewritten. I feel really bad if you spent, so much time going through to find the little things just for me to trash the scene and rewrite it.
Point.
Yeah.
So that's why, that first round we were looking for the big things. So what I do is if more than 2 betas bring up the same problem, I look at it with a much more serious tone. Okay, obviously it's not just a nitpick thing. There is something going on with this scene. In Just a Little Death, I had 2 betas come back with the same 3 big problems, so I knew there was a problem there. And I was able to fix it and then send it back out for that beta read to make sure that I fixed it to the point that I'd be happy with, but my readers would be happy with as well.
All right. To add to that, I think, it's important to realize when you get your feedback back from, say, one person, maybe they just don't like something. You know what I mean? Not all feedback is going to be gold, like, oh my gosh, I have to change this. But like you were saying, if 2 or more, or maybe 3 or more, depending on how many people you send it to, come back with the same thing, then yeah, but if I kind of take it with a grain of salt, and you have to realize a lot of it's opinion.
Yeah, this story that I gave to Ben, I'm wanting to submit it to Daily Science Fiction, which looks at only flash fiction, so I have to keep it short. But so much of the feedback I got, if I put everything in there, I wouldn't have the word count that they're looking for. So I'm hoping I can find another beta reader and see what they say, so I know which ones to focus on. Cause
Yeah, I think it definitely, increasing. Well, I'm a scientist, so I use sample size all the time. If you get a general trend of something, there's obviously something there. But if you have one outlier, if you only have 10 beta readers and one person points out something, that's not very good. And if you only have one beta reader and they point out something, is that just something that bothers them, or is it actually something wrong with the story? You definitely have to keep that in mind.
Well, at that point, you
Ben
would wish
being a scientist, and it's a sci-fi story.
Well, and he's used to writing novels too.
He is, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it was bad. It was great because I've got a list of 10 different things to fix, but I don't have the word count to fix all of them. So I have to pick and choose which ones am I going to fix and which ones can I just let slide. Because
it's the bane of the short story.
But I haven't had anybody else offer to beta read for me, so
I'll beta read.
I was going to say, if you give me a week for things to settle out a little bit, I'll beta read for you.
Cool.
But
well, hey, beta readers.
Things have to settle out a little bit.
Okay. Any final comments on beta readers and why they are important?
They're hugely important. Like I said, I use a critique group here locally. I value that almost as much as I do beta readers. So I'm big on critiques.
I just want to reiterate, make sure you get ones that aren't going to just be like, oh, this is wonderful, because nothing is ever perfect.
Well, that's a waste of time. Everybody's
And it's a waste of time,
Yeah.
and you need
Yeah.
those people who are going to
Reviewers.
tell you.
Wait for it to come out and then see
Exactly.
If you need an ego stroke, search out the good reviewers, because your beta readers are not there to stroke your ego.
All right.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Midnight Riders podcast. If you've enjoyed this content, sign up for our newsletter on our website, midnightriderssociety.com, where you'll get a lot more great information. See you next Wednesday.